Everyone in the forest knew the peacock's voice, but no one could remember a single thing he had ever finished. At sunrise, when golden light spilled across the trees, he would climb his favorite rock, spread his dazzling feathers, and declare his next big goal. "Watch closely," he would call out. "Today I begin something extraordinary, a nest so beautiful it will be remembered for generations." The birds gathered, the monkeys leaned in, even the deer paused mid-step. For a moment, the forest believed him, and honestly, so did he. The excitement rushed through his body, his heart beat faster, his mind filled with images of success, admiration, and praise. It felt so real, so complete, that starting the actual work somehow felt less urgent. Still, he tried. He picked a few bright twigs, walked around with purpose, adjusted them carefully. But as the sun climbed higher, the energy faded, the applause was gone. The vision no longer sparkled the same way. "Maybe tomorrow," he whispered, and tomorrow always came with a new announcement. Not far from the noise of the forest center, beside a quiet stream hidden by tall grass, lived a tortoise. No one gathered around him. No one waited to hear his plans. In fact, most animals barely noticed him at all. Every morning, before the forest fully awakened, he would move slowly from one place to another, carrying tiny pieces of wood, leaves, and mud. No speeches, no promises, just quiet, steady movement. If you watched him for a single day, you might think he was doing nothing important. If you watched him for a week, you'd start to see a pattern. Days turned into weeks. The peacock continued his cycle: big dreams, loud declarations, small effort, no completion. "I will map the entire forest. I will gather the rarest materials. I will build something no one has ever seen." Each time, the forest responded with admiration. Each time, the result was the same. Nothing finished, nothing real. Meanwhile, near the stream, something was slowly taking shape. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't loud. But it was growing. Stick by stick. Layer by layer. Day by day. The tortoise never rushed, never stopped, never announced. He simply continued. One afternoon, the sky darkened without warning. A powerful storm swept through the forest. Winds roared like wild beasts, tearing leaves from branches. Rain poured heavily, turning the ground into mud. Animals ran in panic. Birds searched desperately for cover. Monkeys leaped from tree to tree. Even the strongest creatures struggled to find safety. The peacock, caught in the open, froze. "My nest!" he cried out. But there was no nest. Only scattered attempts, abandoned ideas, unfinished starts. End quote. The wind tore through his feathers as rain soaked him completely. For the first time, his voice had no power. No one was listening. No one could help. Then, through the chaos, he saw something. Near the stream, low to the ground, strong, still, a shelter, carefully built, firm against the storm, protected from the wind, and inside, the tortoise, dry, safe, calm. The peacock rushed toward him, trembling. How did you build this?" he asked, his voice shaking more from realization than from the cold. The tortoise looked at him, then at the storm outside. "I didn't build it today," he said quietly. "I built it every day." The rain continued, but something inside the peacock shifted. All his announcements, all his excitement, all his unfinished dreams. They had given him the feeling of success, without the reality of it. When the storm finally passed, the forest slowly returned to life. But something had changed. The peacock did not climb his rock that morning. There was no grand speech, no dramatic declaration. Instead, he walked quietly to a nearby area, picked up a twig, and began. No one noticed at first. No applause, no attention, just effort. Days passed, then weeks. The forest grew curious. The peacock was still working, still silent, still consistent. And one morning, without any announcement, without any warning, it was finished. A strong, beautiful nest. Not because he spoke it into existence, but because he worked it into reality. That evening, as the sun set, the peacock approached the tortoise again. This time, there was no pride in his posture, only understanding. "You were right," he said softly. The tortoise nodded. "Words can feel like progress," he replied, "but only action creates it." Lesson: every time you announce your plans, your mind rewards you too early. You feel accomplished before you've done the work, and that feeling can quietly steal your drive to continue. Move in silence. Protect your energy. Let your results speak loud enough for the world to hear.